Good afternoon, Kent Bain with Nine Business Group and Elevate Your Business Chat. We have the pleasure of Mathew joining us today. Mathew, please introduce yourself, your company name, what makes you unique and different, what sets you apart from the competition. Mathew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a real pleasure. And my name is Mathew Jensen, and I'm the founder and CEO of Maxogram. And what sets our company apart? Well, it might not make a lot of sense without really taking a look at what we do, because it is so unbelievably unique. But I think there are a few things that set us apart. The first I would say is that there's something of what you might call a phenomenon in the software development world, which is that software itself is often developed like from a programmer's perspective versus from a consumer's perspective. That's just something different in how a programmer's brain works. And what comes out oftentimes is a software developer's version of what the software should be, which is then given to the consumer, and then they don't quite know how to use it. And so knowing this from previous experience that I had, I took a different approach where I said, let's build it sort of from a consumer first approach. Now, there was very, very little at the time that we started that actually gave us insight into other projects or even roughly similar ideas or concepts that we could, derive information from. But there were a few, because in a nutshell, it's like take your phone, point it at something. Well, there's lots of things that you can take your phone, point it at something. They just don't all do something. They don't all do the same thing after you point it, right? And so what we did was we took the first approach being, let's build it from a marketing perspective so that it's saleable, right? We don't want to build a product that's great for consumers that our actual customers don't want to buy. So we wanted to make it friendly for businesses and business entrepreneurs and corporations of any size. So that was number one. Number two, we went and looked at legitimately what are consumers saying about any other kind of product that's within the range of ilk of ours, in comments or in feedback on the app stores and things of that nature, to see, oh, okay, well, look, consumers hate this feature universally, so let's not do that, right? So in essence, what we kind of did was we sculpted it the same way a sculptor creates a sculpture, which is to just chisel everything away that doesn't look like the thing you're sculpting until you're left with what does look like what you want to sculpt. And so we built the opposite of what people don't want, to a degree. So it was kind of an amalgamation of all those things. So what makes our company differentiate ourselves from that perspective is what we see when you compare our product to even other ones that are, again, there isn't really a lot of competition, but other ones that are of a similar ilk. You find one of the most common feedbacks is people look at every other product and they go, oh, it's cool. But they look at our product and they go, that's cool and useful. And that was kind of one of our mandates that we set for ourselves, is to not just be cool, but to be useful.
Very fun. Okay. How long has your journey been? And I'm going to paraphrase that. So how long has your journey been? And what has been the biggest challenge you've overcome since starting a business? How did you tackle it? How did you solve it? What was the outcome?
All right. So our journey began the very last week of 2016. So it gives us an odd date where it sounds like we've been going at it for 6 years, but we haven't. So we officially became a company December 23rd, 2016. And we had our minimum viable product ready for market within about between 9 and 12 months from that date. And I'm glad that you gave me a little bit of advance notice about the question, because there are no shortage of challenges to overcome in any business, I have to imagine. But ours, we were presented with a very unique challenge. We were 17 days from being officially out of the trademark journal and officially trademarked. 17 days. And that's after an already very long journey. And on that fateful day, we were served with a cease and desist from Instagram. And of course, that is going to initially shock anyone. But I gave it a quick glance and pretty much immediately realized we can win this. I'm very sure we can win this. It's not going to be cheap. It's not going to be fast, but I'm sure we can win it. And so the very first step, of course, if you're someone in our position, and you're going against Instagram is you print that, frame it, and put it on the wall. So that's what we did with the cease and desist. It was a six pages, right? And
Maybe
so
someone's famous autograph is in there, or maybe just the
it could,
lawyers. Actually got an
it's just the
autograph of
lawyers.
somebody.
Yeah, but I've heard that Mr. Z is pretty hands-on, so you never know. He may have heard of us. In any event, we went through that process, which of course dragged it out. It was well over a year and more money than I even want to think about. And it did go back and forth quite a few times because they really do want to try to protect their interests, and I get that. Obviously, I'd want to do the same, but they were trying to protect something that isn't really fair, which was just the gram similarity. I mean, there's lots of precedents for that, so that's why I kind of knew it was going to be we'd for sure win. But in the end, how we overcame it was just by going the traditional legal route. But one great thing that came of it is not only were we awarded our trademark ultimately, but we get to carry with us the distinction that Instagram actually helped craft our trademark description, which is kind of a nice little, I'd call that a feather in the cap. And as a fun little side fact, just related to that story, if you do take a look at our app, you'll notice that there are icons for every social media platform and calls to action. And there's 63 different things you can do. And every single one of them is a circle, except Instagram, because they insisted that we use the version of their logo that's in a squircle.
A squirrel.
A squircle. A squared off circle. So theirs is the only one that's different, and that's why.
That's amazing. That's a great story. Yes, absolutely. I love those moments where you get something, I'm just going to frame this because it's a once in a lifetime, and
Sure.
it means we're probably doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. When you can upset the apple cart or get the attention of somebody out in the hemisphere who's a pretty big player, that's pretty cool.
I love that they I want to go back because he said something, but I love that they opened the wording of the cease and desist with your brand is causing confusion with the world famous Instagram brand. And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Excellent. Yes, we are.
I love
A little pat on the
Instagram.
back.
Yeah. I love Instagram and I love, Meta and all that. So this is no bad blood. It's just business and no love lost.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing. What is one thing you know now that you wish you would have known when you started in business 5-6 years ago?
Yeah. So I think that's probably a no-brainer for anyone who's in my position, where this was my first privately held business with shareholders and, the real deal. And so the biggest lesson that I would say that I've learned, meaning if I was to do it again, is I would focus very differently on that initial structuring, because now looking back, I can see how and why certain things were told to me that didn't pan out the way that they were supposed to, but surely benefited others, right? And it just was a matter of me not knowing. So now that I know, going back, I've learned many new creative ways to structure things that keeps both sides protected, right?
So the good old fashioned, one of my clients' dads, he put it best. I loved it, which is good paper makes good friends. And I think what if I'm inferring from the lines here, better paperwork on your end to maybe create more of a win-win than maybe a little too trusting that wasn't quite so winning for you.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing that I will take away from it that turned out to be a benefit throughout our journey, though, first of all, I'm a major coffee lover. If you ever look at my personal social media, it's all coffee themed. I love to have fun with coffee. And so it's a little bit coincidental or ironic, depending on how you look at it. An acronym emerged that was something that became a guiding principle for me, which is to always cafe. And the cafe in this case stands for consider all factors every time. And so obviously there's certain things that you don't need to, like, should we restock the toilet paper? You don't need to consider that for too long before you realize, yes, you do. But with anything that is like a deal or a structure, or if for any reason there's even a little bit of resistance, I've learned take the time to consider it fully. And even if you make a decision if you make a decision that's right, great. But if you make a decision that's wrong, just consider all factors again, because a wrong decision can be turned into a right decision by making a new decision, right? So
was
I
that
love
again
that.
for cafe? It was consider all factors equally?
Consider all factors every time, actually, I said.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I put that in the highlight of the video. I think that's pretty important.
Sure.
I'm gonna hope you can copyright it, because I'm gonna copy it and use it. I think it's a great
You,
lesson.
it'd be an honor.
If I can't wait for this answer, because you're very exuberant and your smile is infectious. So if there's a pirate, a thief in your business, what are they stealing?
All right. Well, I thought about this one, and I thought there's two answers to this question. And the first one depends, well, the answer really depends on if we're talking about something non-tangible. So if it was something non-tangible, I would say that, like any good company with a big idea, there's what you put out to the world and what you share, and then there's your special sauce. And for us, there are a few things that form part of our special sauce. We have a special list that's only available to those of us internally, and it's all good things, nothing evil. It's just things that we don't outwardly say, because we don't want to give away necessarily secrets that are going to potentially tip off competition or mergers of the same idea, right? So I would say that they would probably try to steal the special sauce. And if they did, Kent, knowing how people are, they probably wouldn't even do anything with it. So they wouldn't have to hide it. Now, if they were to steal something tangible, this is where we've got a problem, because one of the things that happened in 2017 was I happened upon this really rare bottle of wine that was so good that I went a little bit nuts about it. And I don't go nuts about wine, but this one was so special, I decided to get a case. And I gave a bottle to the top 12 people, well, to the top 11, and kept one for myself, people in the organization, including, our co-founders and high-end salespeople and a couple of shareholders that are of great significance. And would you believe that even though it was bestowed upon them with the very clear instruction, do not drink this, save it, and when I call you one day and say, we got the big one, then you can drink it and we'll all enjoy ours wherever we are in the world together. All 11 bottles that are not mine have all been mysteriously disappeared. So mine is the only one left. And going back to the winery and asking them about that particular vintage, there are none left. It sold out that year within 6 weeks. So I could very well have the last bottle on Earth. And where would they hide
Your
it? They'd
biggest
have to
fear
hide
someone's
that
going to
in a
steal your bottle of
major,
wine.
major safe. I'm sorry, Ken, what?
I was going to say, your biggest fear someone's going to steal your bottle of wine. I love it.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's the most important
You've been
thing.
at this for a few years now. You've been around, up the mountain, back down the mountain. Instagram has threatened to take you out of business, yada, yada, yada. What is your definition of a successful business, and has it changed over the last 4 or 5 years?
I don't know about the if it's changed part. I would say no. But my definition of a successful business is not necessarily financial. In fact, that's probably way down the list. The biggest successes that I've felt in this journey, and again, I appreciate that you gave me a little time to sort of think about these before we discuss them. Actually, let me just wet the throat here. Not because I love coffee so much, but just having a bit of a bad throat day. The idea of a successful business for me is a business that moves the needle in the lives of everyone who's a part of building the business. Whether it moves the needle for them financially, or moves the needle for them spiritually, or with opportunities or experience, whatever the case may be. When I see people, and it has happened even in our tiny little startup world, I've seen people go from, hey, I'd sure like to do this. They come work for me, and now they're quite literally traveling the world, doing what they originally came to me saying they wanted to do. So not that it has anything to do with me. I believe that I'm anxiously awaiting your next question because it'll kind of summarize everything. But when we founded this company, our original co-founders all got together on November the 11th, 2016. So a little over a month before we became a company officially. And just pardon me, sorry. And as a part of that meeting, the thing that was most important to me, there's all the technical and the paperwork and the agreements and the structure and all that stuff. But I said, what's most important to me is that we build this company on a foundation of love and that we never shy away from that. In fact, we shine a light on it. And I know that for some people that might sound hokey, or it might sound, like, how are you going to build a Tesla on a foundation of love or something, major like that? But I've always been so sure that it can be done. And I'm very proud to say that we've always stuck to that. We've never shied away from it. We've shined a light on it many times. And that's why I think that it is incumbent upon us to continue to provide that kind of a culture that people come in, if they become a part of the building process, they feel the love, they share their own love. Like, everybody goes through the love test before they even come aboard. You know what I mean? And nothing weird, just, general understanding. And then they go on to spread that themselves, That's the goal.
Very cool. So a very tight culture, but really around love, mutual respect, community. And if I were to summarize it in a way of success, is empowering your team members to live their best life in a career and a profession that they enjoy and you want to evolve in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. One last question. What do you want to be known for?
Two things: love and spreading joy.
I can work with that. That's pretty simple. Love and spreading joy. Thanks very much, Matthew. You've been an absolute treat. One last plug for where people can find you. Want more information, download all that good stuff. Tell us that last spiel for Maxogram and what you're about and where they find it.
All right, deep breath. So the best place to go is maxogram.com. Obviously, that's Maxogram, not Max-E-gram, as we have to correct a lot of people on that. And from there, you can create an account. You can log in easily. It's currently all entirely free to use, unless, of course, you want to employ us to help you with something advanced. The app is free, small, and easy to find. And the only challenge that some people have is they get the app, they're excited about, trying it, but they don't have anything to scan. I'm so sorry about that little squeak. But what you can do is you can scan any Starbucks logo either on a cup or any Starbucks, the green circle logo. And in fact, if you do, you can try our interactive features and you can touch any of the icons, of course, to follow us or follow them on social media. But you can touch the enter to win. And we have an ongoing monthly giveaway of a Starbucks gift card. So it's free and cool and useful and financially beneficial for you to try. Not just cool.
That sounds great, Matthew. Once again, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Keep smiling. Look forward to hearing the rest of your story one of these days real soon.
Awesome, man. We'll be in touch.
You bet.